Hey YouTube, Tyler here with the Kingdoms trading card game, and thank you for taking your precious time and clicking on this video. So I'm going to start experimenting with a different type of video setup just because of what my schedule is. So I'm going to try to do a shorter video every month and then also a longer video every month, which this video is. So I will hopefully have in the description below some timestamps, so if you guys want to jump to different segments of the video, you can go ahead and jump right to that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into January's video. Set 2 is out. Now, if any of you have been keeping up to date with the social media or some of my other videos that I've been posting, Set 2 New Designs is officially out, and actually at the releasing of this video I will be at a tournament that we are doing, hopefully having about 12 to 14 people coming over to play the game and implement the new Set 2 cards into their Set 1 decks, or some people are just strictly using the brand new kingdoms that are in Set 2. So just for a couple facts for what is in Set 2 New Designs. In Set 2 New Designs, there are 3 new kingdoms: Winterton, Silvermoor, and Cludés. Now, all 3 of these kingdoms, each one is paired with a previous Set 1 kingdom. So Furbish and Cludés can now be combined, Silvermoor and Estercrest can now be combined, and Winterton and Linford can be combined because they're all parts of the same spirit. In the set, now I realized once I got the cards from the Game Crafter that there was a slight editing error on my part. There are 112 brand new cards in Set 2 New Designs, featuring battle cards, spells, legends, spirits, tokens, and sacred. So there's new cards for every type of category. Even though if you were to grab the final card, it says number 113. So there was a slight error. So maybe I'll have to make a new card that I can sneak into Set 2. For Silvermoor, being a Tannis spirit affiliated kingdom, uses the ability defensive still for this set, but also tries to focus on the bleed ability. Silvermoor has a lot of cards that work well together, and a couple of those cards that it's trying to really focus around utilizing that bleed ability. I think they're going to be pretty good. I'm curious to see how good they will be on their own, because Estercrest was pretty good on their own, but I'll be curious to see with that. Cludés can be combined with Furbish because it is a Marif spirit affiliated kingdom, and Cludés is all about trying to deplete their opponent of magicka. And so a lot of their cards are a little bit more expensive, but that's offset by making their opponent have less and less magicka to spend. And so the hope is that Cludés can kind of stall enough to get out some of the bigger cards that they need to start dealing the damage that they need to deal. Cludés will have a couple cards that helps generate their own magicka and also gives them the ability to search out for other cards. And so it'd be cool to see that combined with Furbish as well, that is already needing some cards to be combined with. And then Winterton is using the Rage ability, but what I wanted Winterton to do was to kind of be a burn style deck. And so you'll see on a lot of the cards for Winterton, they have the choice to either attack or simply just deal damage to the revealed sacred, obviously less damage than what their attack would deal, and that is for them to maybe work around things such as defensive or other things of that nature. And there's been some feedback that maybe they won't be as good as Linford, but we shall see. Sometimes it looks like aggression is the best strategy so far in the game of kingdoms, but I'm really impressed with Winterton, and I'm really excited to see how they do. And those are the 3 kingdoms: Silvermoor, Cludés, and Winterton. And I'm really curious to see what you guys will think will be maybe the best kingdom coming out of this set. Out of the 6 kingdoms now that are in the game of kingdoms, which kingdom on its own would be the best? And if you were to combine the 2 kingdoms that can each be combined, which duo would be the most powerful? So that is Set 2 New Designs. So in light of the Set 2 New Designs kind of announcement, and also telling you guys that there is a tournament that is happening at the day that I'm releasing this video, I have a couple predictions for what's going to be going on at this tournament. I know last time when I made my predictions, I was kind of wrong on some cards, but then I was also right in other areas where I had predicted that Linford was most likely going to win it, and that was the case because Linford was in the top 2 and actually the top 3 or 4 as well. Estercrest was right behind there. And so for this upcoming tournament, I really think Furbish is going to make a big push just because of that joint with Cludés and being able to bring your opponent down in Magicka. Cludés has a lot of cards that really are focusing on bringing their opponents down in Magicka, and also there's quite a few neutral cards such as Downtown Pub that brings down Magicka that your opponent has to spend. And I think Downtown Pub is actually going to be a really good sacred. I know for my deck personally, that is a card that I'm going to be using because I want to win. I never win the tournament for the card game that I've been a part of making, and so I would like to win at least something. I think when it comes to Linford, if Linford can utilize a couple of the Winterton cards to maybe generate a greater speed and also a greater ability to dig inside their fortress, I think they'll have a good chance at staying at the top tier of power when it comes to the tournament. That's the one struggle, is once Linford opens up with Lancer and searches out all the cards they need, they kind of run out of steam if those cards get eliminated. That's why you see a lot of Linford players utilize spells such as Summoner's Call to get those cards back that they need in their hand. You don't see a lot of Linford players, and I don't know if I'm going to see a lot of Winterton players either, use the Rage ability, because battle cards are resources, and so if you're getting rid of them and you've already spent Magicka to use them, it's kind of that trade unless you can deal that final blow. And as for Silvermoor, I really think they're going to be pretty good, and just because of that bleed ability. I already know that for one person, they're just strictly using a set one deck, really focusing a strategy around the Esther Towers, and really abusing the Charlotte Impact 11 ability, which Charlotte was limited. And so I'll be curious to see if people are going to be using the Silvermoor cards to just kind of build that even greater wall, which for other Silvermoor and Esther Crest players will be annoying if those two types of kingdoms are playing against each other, because just their nature alone, they don't typically deal a lot of attack to begin with. A Silvermoor Esther Crest strategy would be good against a Linford Winterton deck, even though Winterton does kind of have a couple of those burn abilities. Overall though, they're still going to have to worry about getting through all that bleed, all the battle cards that have bleed on them before they can even get to the sacred, especially because both Esther Crest and Silvermoor use the ability defensive, as well as they had those spells for it as well. So I'll be really curious to see who wins. I think at the end of the day though, it's probably going to be an Esther Crest Silvermoor that comes up at top. I think Linford, Winterton, either those decks on their own or a combo, I think it's going to be fighting for that top position as well. But I just think the bleed's going to be overwhelming for any kingdom to get over. Furbish and Cludés, I never know. I thought they'd be really good, and they actually really stunk. On surface, it looks like a Furbish Cludés combo could be really good, but I could again be proven wrong, and Furbish and Cludés could just continue to stink. And so that is my predictions for the set 2 tournament release party, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so I wanted to do a deck tech for this part, this segment of the video, and like I said, there is the tournament that is happening today at the release of this video, and so I know I've done a profile on my Furbish deck before, but now that set 2 is officially out, I am now running a hybrid of Cludés and Furbish because they are both part of the same spirit, and so I just kind of wanted to show you guys what is in the deck and also kind of talk through how it works. So first, just like it was a stable for the just sole Furbish deck, I'm running 3 council board members. At this moment, I think council board member is probably the best card search card in the game so far, just because it gives you the ability to, especially once you're in phase 3, to free play any battle card that you come into contact with. So it's definitely a card that I think as a Furbish player or as a Mriff player, you have to run no matter what. I'm running 3 Furbish counselors because of the fact that they give you that +2 Magicka every turn, and then they also have that Impact 2 ability where you can remove them from the battlefield during your opponent's attack phase. I think just makes them such a great card. I don't know if they're actually super good, but I know whenever I use them, I'm always really pleased that I have them out on the field because they give me the ability to run the cards that I really want to run. What I also run, I run 3 Judge Guards. Judge Guard is a new card of set 2 for Furbish, and the reason why I wanted him is, yes, he costs 7, and yes, he's a phase 2, but if I can get multiple of him out, he's just continuing to make all my Mriff cards cost less, which if I can make a card cost less, I will certainly do that, and for 500, that's a pretty good card to have out in the field. I run 3 Nomadic Soldiers, which is a Cludés battle card. He costs 5, but being able to silence one and give me 1 Magicka every single turn for a phase 1 card, 300, I think is just a good card to have. He replaces Prison Guard for me. He's just better overall, I think, and he's worth that extra 2 Magicka cost. I'm running 2 Furbish Temple Judge. He's just too good of a card. I did limit him for this upcoming tournament to 2, but I'll be curious to see if I'm going to have to bring him down a little bit more. If he costs 10, I don't know if I would run 2 copies of him, but he's just such a good card that you have to run him. A new card from set 2 is Converter, which is a Furbish card, and I'm only running 2 of these because yeah, I can prevent my opponent from playing certain battle cards that I maybe don't want them to play, but I don't want to hinder my ability to attack as well. I don't want to play too preventative where I can't actually do anything to capitalize on that, but definitely a good card. I'm running 2 Resource Managers. Being able to give me 3 Magicka every turn is just pivotal. I'm going to need this for this deck, and then he makes my other cards cost less as well. I don't know if I'm going to keep them, though. Before the tournament, I'm definitely going to kind of do one final thorough walkthrough with my deck. The fact that they have 0 attack and only 100 health might make me change my mind. I'm running 1 Light Warden just because he's a great card for me to have. And being a phase 3, cost 9, I think he's definitely worth the cost. And having 800 attack, that just makes him amazing. I'm only running 1 Washaways. Washaways has helped me win, or has at least helped me stay in the game so much longer every single game I play. I only run 1 copy of him because I don't want to just utilize all my resources that I've taken the time to put out onto the field and get rid of him. So that's why I run 1. And then I also run 1 copy of Snoire Day, which is Cludés's boss card, if you want to call it that. Just a overall 900, 700, really good phase 3 battle card, and I think I could see some damage being dealt with this one. When it comes to neutral cards, I'm running 3 copies of Messenger. Being able to draw 3 cards and then deal 400 damage to my Sacred, I think it's a good trade, and I am running a 60 card deck, so I'm going to need the ability to really dig into my Fortress when I need to. And only costing 3, I think that makes him worth it. I think he's a better version than even Outpost Tower, even though you have to wait till phase 2. Speaking of Outpost Tower, still running 3 of these. I think Outpost Tower at the moment is still a staple in any deck that you want to run, though I think there's a couple set 2 cards that maybe could take Outpost Tower's spot, or at least be of equal value. I am running 2 copies of Traveling Caravan, just from the fact that it makes my opponents have -2 Magicka during their turn. The whole goal of my deck is to make my opponents have no Magicka, but then draw a lot of cards. And so my hope is that by running a 60 card deck, that I can mill out my opponent. I know that's more of a Magic term, but make my opponent run out of cards in their Fortress and before they're able to completely destroy me. I am running 1 copy of Time Scribe. That did get limited to 1, and this is just a alternate art that my brother-in-law did. When it comes to spells, I'm running 3 Temple Watch. This will allow me to get to my Furbish spells that I really want to make sure I have a hand on. I am running 2 Silence because I want to stall my opponent as much as I can while I'm trying to make them run out of cards. I'm running 2 Community Assemblies, which is a new card from set 2, which allows me to take a second turn. I might need to take these out because I could see there being a potential with me actually drawing too many cards and then me running out of cards myself rather than my opponent. I think if I was running a slightly different strategy, maybe this would be a better card to run 2 copies of. So I don't know. I might bring it down to 1. Running 2 copies of Nomadic Lifestyle, which is a Cludés spell. It does a lot of things. Increases my hand by 2, helps me to draw 2 cards. I have -3 Magicka next turn, and then for this current turn when I play it, Mirth battle cards cost -1 Magicka. That was one thing that I found when I created set 2, or I should say when I created set 2 with my brother-in-law, is some of the cards are doing a little bit too much, but that's alright. You know, they're fun to add into the game, and now I know for next set to kind of bring back what the cards are all doing. I'm doing 1 Spiritual Connection because I'm running 4 spirits in this card, and I really like their abilities, so I don't want to use that. Running a Hush of Furbish because sometimes it's really nice to be able to use a spell that your opponent has played. Running 1 Successful Hunt because this would be a great card draw card. A Pillage, this gives me the ability to have extra Magicka for 1 turn that I might not have. Power in Numbers, in case I'm running out of steam, running out of battle cards on the field, I can bring a bunch back. 2 Divine Wisdom because I don't want my opponent to play spells on me. And then I'm also running 2 Rest from Warfares, again trying to stall my opponent from doing anything. And then I'm running Glass, which is a new set 2 spell. Really excited to have this one. If you play Yu-Gi-Oh, which I did for a little bit, I forget the exact name of this card, but I know it had like 2 cylinders where it would essentially kind of flip the attack damage right back towards your opponent. And this is kind of the same thing, though you still take the damage as well. Then I am running 1 Summoner's Call just because it's a really good card to have, and in case I need to bring back maybe a Temple Judge or Washaways again for a second time, good card to have. When it comes to spirits, I'm running 2 Tunips, which you guys have seen before in my other profile video, just because I get to draw 2 cards. That's really the reason why I'm running that. Then I am running 2 of the new Marif Spirits, Plumella, Voice to the Pure. The instant ability is okay, but the reason why I really like it, especially for the strategy that I have, is the Impact 1 ability, which allows all players to draw a card. So if I can make my opponent have no Magicka or less Magicka, I should say, on every single turn, but they're still having to draw cards, then they're going to be in a predicament where they're having to discard a bunch of cards. I am running 1 Lawful Knight. I think he's an awesome legend. If he had more health, I think he'd be the best legend in the game. When it comes to tokens, I'm running 3 Master's Tables just because being able to have 4 Magicka, that's definitely great. I'm running 1 copy of 4 just because I can only run 3 copies of Master's Table. And then I am running 1 Nanny Goat. I'll talk more about Nanny Goat in some other segment of a video or maybe its own video to come, but really happy with this card, and I think part of me is biased towards using it just because it's based off of someone I know. When it comes to these Sacreds, I'll move these cards out of the way real quick. What I am doing is I'm picking Downtown Pub for my 2nd Sacred, and then the Central Palace for my 3rd Sacred, both neutral Sacreds. Downtown Pub will make my opponent automatically have -2 Magicka, but they draw 2 cards for their draw phase. And so by making my opponent have less Magicka, with me already playing spells on top of that, my opponent's going to be having to draw more cards than that they're able to play. And then Central Palace gives me the ability, because it's 1700 health, it's a pretty good phase 3 Sacred. And then also what it allows me to do is I can choose to draw 2 cards and automatically make all my opponents draw a card as well. So constantly making them draw cards. And then for my other 3 Sacreds, I have Skylight Fountain, Shual Waterfall, and the Mystic Room, which either Skylight Fountain doesn't have a lot of health, but its ability or its effect makes it really good. So really my opponent, in my opinion, I don't think has 3 good choices for me to pick. Even if they think that the Mystic Room isn't very good, the fact that it has 2300 health at least buys me a couple turns. And so that is my Furbish Cludés hybrid deck. Now's the part of the video I like to do something called Bible Talk, just to keep it short and sweet. In Psalm chapter 77, which the book of Psalms is right in the middle of a Bible if you were to open it up, Psalm 77 summarizes the whole story of the Israelites. For those of you that don't know, or those of you that may not remember, the Israelites are all found throughout the Old Testament. Basically, the Old Testament is about the Israelites and how God has chosen them to be his chosen people, and how sometimes they do a good job walking in that as his children and serving him and loving him, and other times they just totally stink and God has to judge them and wait for one generation to die off before the next generation of people can rise up, and hopefully they will serve God and believe in God and do as he has asked them. And so what's really cool is because since I've been doing my devotions pretty consistently for the last 2 years now, what I've been doing is I started in the Old Testament and I've been reading chapter by chapter by chapter. Sometimes I read more than 1 chapter at a time because I like to read by the story. Sometimes you can start to forget, man, this happened in this book. I don't remember everything that happened. And so what's really cool is Psalms chapter 77 takes everything that you've read in the Old Testament about the Israelites and summarizes it into one beautiful chapter that tells you the ups and downs of the Israelites' relationship with God, and how he took them out of slavery, and how they went through the wilderness, and how they reached the promised land. And it was just really cool. So there's not necessarily a huge spiritual takeaway that I want to get, that I want you to get out of me saying this. Rather, I just want you to maybe, if you have a hard time reading the Old Testament, maybe read Psalms chapter 77, because it gives you a glimpse of the story, and at least it's a little taste of what the Old Testament has to offer. And it's just really cool because it sums it all up and just puts it into one really nice, beautiful picture. I want to thank you guys for taking your time to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave comments in the description below or on the social media if you can't comment on Facebook. Just to let me know what you thought of this video. If you kind of like the different segment in video where I'm covering a couple different things. I know in videos to come when I do stuff like this, I also want to talk about lore or talk about different cards that I'm into or drawing. So each big video that I do has a whole myriad of different combinations that it could have. So let me know what you guys think. Links will be in the description below for the Facebook and Instagram page, where I try my best to post on a weekly basis just so you guys know what's going on, or just fun card facts or stuff that's going on for the card game itself. And also there is a Kingdoms website. It's a Wix website, so it's free, and so the website domain isn't the prettiest looking thing, but I've been doing my best just to kind of clean that up, make it look nice and pretty. And also, if you go to that website, you'll see information on all the cards that are in set 2. You'll see updates to the rules and particular rules that I'm slowly discovering that need to be addressed. And also, I'm trying to slowly update lore stories, just kind of smaller stories that I might not do for video purposes. And so it's kind of the go-to website, wiki, for everything that you want to know about the Kingdoms trading card game. With that, I want to thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. Please like, subscribe, do whatever you want to do to keep in touch. And you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, or night. Thanks.